Step away from the truck right now. You are being detained under HOA authority. You do not belong here.
You need to think very carefully about what you're doing right now.
Here. The board authorized this.
Your hands are shaking.
A man in a fake HOA vest pulled a loaded gun on my son Jason in our own driveway while I watched from the barn. Jason is a Special Forces veteran. It did not go the way Carl expected. Comment below which country you are watching from. I bought this 40-acre ranch outside Willow Creek specifically for the silence, cedar pasture, and the kind of peace that does not exist in subdivisions. For years, that was exactly what it was. Then, the HOA from the new development next door decided my land was part of their territory. My deed proved otherwise, but board president Linda Harper kept the notices coming anyway. Non-compliant fencing, barn visible from the road. None of it applied to me, and none of it stopped when I showed her the documentation. Things escalated when Jason came home after years serving overseas in Special Forces. Linda and the board rolled out a new community rule within weeks of his arrival. 55 and older, only residents exclusively. Jason was barely 30. His presence became an official violation overnight. Then came Carl. He was not law enforcement. His security license had lapsed. He drove a Tahoe marked HOA enforcement war, a vest stamped HOA cop, and carried a prop badge he had apparently sourced online. He tailed Jason on the county road. He blocked our gate. He photographed Jason's truck and wrote fake citations against a ranch he had no jurisdiction over. I drove directly to Linda's office and told her my property was not part of her HOA and that Carl needed to stop immediately. She told me Carl was there to ensure community safety, and then lowered her voice and said perception was power, and that right now the perception was that my son did not belong here. That was the moment I understood this was not about rules or compliance. It was targeted pressure designed to push us towards selling. I warned Jason to document everything and stay calm. He smiled that quiet soldier's smile and told me he had seen worse than wannabe cops. Carl kept escalating anyway. One morning, Jason came back from hauling hay, and Carl pulled his Tahoe down our gravel drive without permission. He stepped out with his hand already moving toward his holster, drew his pistol, and aimed it at Jason, telling him to step away from the truck, and that he was being detained under HOA authority. Jason raised both hands slowly and kept eye contact without flinching. That particular stillness that belongs to people trained to function under that kind of pressure. I called out that there was no such thing as HOA detention authority, and that impersonating a public servant in Texas was a felony under Penal Code. 37.11 Carl's trigger discipline was poor, and his hands were visibly shaking. Jason told him calmly that he had been in situations with real guns held by people who knew how to use them. Carl kept the weapon raised. When Carl shifted focus toward me, Jason disarmed him. One controlled movement. Carl stumbled back, holding his wrist. Jason cleared the weapon professionally and handed it to me. I told Carl he had just committed criminal trespass, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and criminal impersonation, and that the sheriff was being called. Carl returned to his Tahoe and left fast. The sheriff had Carl's pistol and Jason's dash cam footage within an hour. Deputies executed a search warrant on Carl's Tahoe and found the prop badge, a stack of forged HOA violation forms, and a burner phone. Loaded with surveillance photos and voice memos dated over several months, digital forensics on the HOA's account pulled text messages from Linda Harper. She had directly authorized Carl's activities. Her messages included payment confirmations for his services, and one that read, "Make him uncomfortable and pressure. Will make him sell." Carl pleaded guilty to impersonating a law enforcement officer and unlawful brandishing of a firearm. Suspended sentence with probation and restitution. Linda and 2 board members were charged criminally for conspiracy and unlawful intimidation. Several pleaded out. The county revoked the HOA's enforcement privileges and placed the organization under court receivership pending a full financial audit. The civil settlement addressed harassment attorney fees and punitive damages, calculated to ensure it never happened again in Willow Creek. Jason stood on the porch the week after settlements were finalized and said he had been through worse. I told him he should not have had to go through this at all. He just nodded. The people who chose fear as a strategy found out that accountability costs more than they planned for. Drop a like if this story hit different, and tell me in the comments. What you would have done the morning that Tahoe pulled down your driveway.